Good morning, Ramesh.
Morning. If you find me a little chirpier, brighter this morning, that's because Philippe brought some money from the French publishers.
Oh, good.
Yes, Mutribo.
Ramesh, this series of videos
Yes.
will be taking us on a journey through your teaching. I wanted to ask you before we start.
Conceptual teaching.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you before we start, do you have any travel advisories for us as we start the journey? Are there any rules of the road?
No, we can start anywhere, then go both ways. Go to the start and at the finish.
So, before the beginning, before the Big Bang,
Yes.
what was?
Nothing was. Something is something. For something to be, it has to be manifestation. The thing can come only if there is manifestation.
What is that nothing that was before there was something?
Something that existed before the question what is ever came.
Is it possible to talk about that thing in words?
Whatever we talk about then will be a concept. Therefore, if we talk, that is the truth. What was before the manifestation happened, let's say it's the truth. Even that moment we think about it is a concept. In deep sleep, no question, nothing, no one exists. We can talk about deep sleep only when we are awake. That's why I say the source, the nothingness or the emptiness, whatever you call it, once we accept that the manifestation has happened, as it happened, it has emerged from the one source. From then on, what we are concerned with is only the manifestation, which has emerged from the source, therefore it cannot be anything different from the source. Having said that, I have always felt it's really stupid to talk any more about the source. No one can talk, no one knows the source. Why Mutribu? No one can know the source because all there is the source. Who can talk about the source?
But the source, you also refer to the source as God.
I refer to the source as the source from which the manifestation has emerged. And after the manifestation has emerged, the question of God, all concepts arise. So the manifestation is there is a functioning of manifestation, which is life as we know it. After the manifestation and the functioning of manifestation are there and we talk about them, then we think of according to what does the life happen, according to what does the functioning of manifestation happen. It has to happen then. The concept is it can only function according to a cosmic law. A cosmic law. Too much for the physicist will love it. But the ordinary person, cosmic law I don't understand. So for the ordinary person, we have a concept of God.
Right.
I can't have what I want. Therefore, who decides what I shall want and whether I shall get it or not? I'll get it according to the cosmic law. An equivalent of that, synonym, we say, God's will. Not my will, not your will. So whose will? God's will.
Right. So Ramesh, how did the universe emerge? How was the universe created?
I think there are various theories. And even among physicists, I think there is some doubt whether it emerged as one moment as the Big Bang or not. So we are not concerned with the theoretical physics. We can take it that at one moment there was no manifestation. In a split second, in a split moment, they have no point that the mathematicians. The manifestation happened. The happening of the manifestation is in the instant. The real problem arises. Again, everything is conceptual. It's a jigsaw puzzle. When the human being is concerned, the jigsaw puzzle has already been distributed in various parts. So the puzzle for the human brain is to put the parts together and have that enormous jigsaw puzzle. So whenever the human being thinks about the manifestation, it is gathering the pieces together. My point is, the jigsaw puzzle arrived as a puzzle, whole. So there is a wholeness about it. Only when the human being starts thinking, the wholeness gets fragmented.
Right.
and we think in terms of the part. Which part goes where, which part came first, which part came second or later. So if we think in terms of the wholeness as it exists, whole jigsaw puzzle is there.
You often use the image of the spider and the spider's web to describe the process of manifestation.
That is the classical Hindu example. And the main point that it brings out is, the manifestation is like the spider's web which emerges from the spider. And the spider does not use any material outside of itself. So the spider creates the web from its own saliva. Therefore the soul, if it's a soul, nothing else exists. So the manifestation has emerged from the source, and the source has not used any other material because there isn't any for the manifestation to happen. That is the most, I can't think of any other simile or metaphor so accurate.
Right.
You see? The manifestation has emerged from the source exactly as the spider's web emerges from the spider's mouth. And when it doesn't need the web any longer, takes it back. The spider is exactly where it was. The web comes and goes. It's a most beautiful metaphor.
Yeah. When the spider creates the web,
Yes.
what are the mechanics of this web? What are the mechanics by which the manifestation appears?
Big Bang. At one moment, no manifestation. Next moment, manifestation. But when we think of the manifestation in time, now what is a manifestation? The manifestation first is physical. Collection of three-dimensional objects. So, for an object to exist, it needs space in which the thing or object can be extended. And the physicist says, and so does the mystic, nothing exists unless it is observed. Therefore, for something which is extended in space to exist, it has to be observed. Observation means time. Therefore, space-time is the conceptual mechanism absolutely necessary for the manifestation to exist and be seen and observed. So does the physicist now say, no object exists until and unless it is observed. So observing is as necessary for the existence of the object as the object itself.
In your books, you often speak of space-time as conceptual and illusory. Could you talk about that a bit?
Very simple. In our deep sleep, no space, no time, no manifestation, no life. Deep sleep, I'm not talking of dreaming. In deep sleep, there is no space, no time, no objects, no human being, no functioning of manifestation.
But we don't live in deep sleep, Ramesh.
Who doesn't live with people?
What I mean is that if I look at your clock,
Yeah.
I see some measurement of time. If someone
Yeah.
looks at his wristwatch,
Yeah.
he is relating to some measurement of time.
Yeah.
But you speak about it in your books as conceptual and unreal. I'm trying to understand exactly what you mean by that.
What I mean is, something which exists only in my waking state, it doesn't exist in my deep sleep, cannot be real. For something to be real, it must exist all the time, irrespective of my being there. If something existing depends on me being awake, then that which is supposed to be real or true cannot be anything in the manifestation. So the point I'm making, Mitrivo, is we say we exist and we talk about existence. So space-time necessary for the manifestation to exist, and the functioning of the manifestation, the working of the different kind of objects, the movement and the working, is life as we know it. For life as we know it to be there, to be participated in, there has to be a human being or an animal with an ego. The ego, I, exists as so and so. So that ego, in my deep sleep, there is no Ramesh to think of anything. And yet, when Ramesh wakes up, he is able to say, I slept well or I did not sleep well. So, in deep sleep, Ramesh was absent, but something was present. And that applies to everybody. Billions of human beings can say he or she slept well or did not sleep well. Therefore, something in deep sleep was present, and that was not the individual identified me. Therefore, my concept is, even in deep sleep, there must have existed something which enables me to say I slept well. Therefore, that which exists in deep sleep, as well as any time, is the only real thing. Everything else that comes and goes with my being awake cannot be real. So the only real thing is consciousness. The impersonal awareness of being. And even that impersonal awareness of being, which I say is the only truth, the truth can only consist of whatever it is in phenomenality. In the source of noumenon, unicity, whatever we call it, the question of truth or any concept does not arise. In fact, the source, unicity, noumenon, whatever, there is no need for noumenon to be aware of itself. Therefore, I am, this impersonal awareness, is part of the emergence of the manifestation. So the manifestation has emerged together with the awareness of it. Before there was manifestation, there was no need for the source to be aware of it.
Why did this movement occur?
Good question, Mutrigo. And the usual answer given is because that is its nature. That is its nature. Curiously, I wasn't satisfied with it. It is what's nature of what? So I had to think out an answer for myself, and I said, the most apt example I can give is that aspect of the source which we think in terms of energy. From the space came this manifestation, the Big Bang. The Big Bang is energy, primal energy. So, if we think of the whole thing in terms of not nominal stillness or quietness, but as potential energy, the Hindu calls Śakti. Shiva is the source, Śakti is Shiva's energy, which has produced this manifestation. So, if we think in terms of the manifestation produced by some unimaginably strong potential energy. So, what is noumenon? Potential energy. So, if I think in terms of potential energy, then I can understand what is potential. So, unless the potential activates itself sometime or the other, it is dead matter. Therefore, that I can understand. The nature of the potential is to activize itself sometime. So, potential energy has activized itself because the nature of the potential is to activize itself. So, the potential has activized itself with the burst of energy which we call the Big Bang. And when that unimaginably strong burst, sometime or the other, dissipates itself, then whatever has emerged will go back into the potential.
I think I've heard you talk in your books, Ramesh, about the process of the manifestation appearing being a way for consciousness to become aware of itself.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
So if we think in terms of energy, we know this potential has come. But when you think in terms of one man knowing another, that can only be the basis of consciousness. So my point is, as soon as the manifestation has happened, the entire manifestation and its functioning is happening only in consciousness. In fact, consciousness is the basis for the manifestation and its functioning. Consciousness is the basis on which appears this appearance of the manifestation and its functioning. A clear example is a movie happens. So the basis of the movie is the screen. So screen is consciousness. And the movie of life is something which appears in consciousness. Therefore, it's consciousness. The movie example, consciousness has written the script. Consciousness has produced and directed the movie. Consciousness is playing all the characters in the movie. And consciousness is witnessing the movie.
Can there be any conceptual reason outside of the one you just gave, that it is the nature of potential energy to activize itself at some point? Is there any further conceptual reason why it activized itself in such a way?
Only because it's nature. Now, once the potential has activated itself, the rest of it is just mechanics. And anything that you have is a constant, is a concept. So why bother about a concept? You can have 10 different concepts. And I think the physicists do have 10, probably more, including multiple universes. This is one universe. Similarly, there are many universes. So that whatever has not happened in one universe has happened in another. And I think this Professor Deutsch, I came across his sentence. He said, he is the one who is sort of keen on this multi-universe. So he said, I'm sure the theory will change. But he says, I'm prepared to bet my bottom dollar. Whatever the new theory, the basis of it will be multi-universe. So that if in this universe Hitler is defeated and the Allies won, bound to be another universe where it's the other way around. Anything can happen. But all that is absolute pure concept. So my point is, living in this universe, living my life in this people, why bother about other universes?
Yeah. But as far as your concept goes,
Yes.
when you use the image of the movie screen, when the manifestation appeared, in that moment,
Yes.
the whole movie was already written from beginning to end.
Whole jigsaw puzzle was there.
The whole what?
Jigsaw puzzle.
Right,
Whole movie.
right.
And if consciousness is all there is, and all there has ever been is consciousness, then who could have produced the movie except consciousness? Consciousness has not used any material outside of itself. Therefore, I say consciousness has written the script, consciousness has produced and directed the movie, and most important, consciousness is playing every character in the movie. And consciousness is witnessing the movie through every body-mind organism.
But Ramesh, what would you say to someone, an ordinary person, who lives in the world?
Yes.
He can feel this chair.
Yes.
He can see the time on his watch.
Yes.
He is aware that when he goes to sleep, it disappears.
Yes.
but for him that's not relevant.
Yeah.
He spends his life awake.
And that is precisely what I'm coming to. All that any person should really be concerned with his life and living along with the others. The rest of it is sheer conceptualization. Why bother? Therefore, the real question I ask, as you know, a spiritual seeker. First, did you at any moment decide to be a spiritual seeker? No one. Ever since my childhood, there was something pricking. What is all this? Why am I here? But that doesn't bother too many children. And in fact, almost anybody who has told me, as a child who was concerned with this, has also said, I have always felt, because of this, left alone. The other children would consider me peculiar, funny. So my point therefore is, even this basic self-inquiry or whatever, the spiritual seeking happened. No one decided to be a spiritual seeker at any time. No one decided that he will seek money. No Tiger Woods or Pete Sampras decided that he wants to be a golf champion or a tennis champion or Schumacher, racing champion, or Philip. He did win a few races, I'm told. But I asked him, do you really think Schumacher is truly the best? He said, yes. So what made Schumacher decide to be a champion racing driver? So also Philip. So my point is, whatever the human being is seeking as an individual, no one decided what he will seek. So if you find someone seeking money more than anything else, or someone seeking fame more than anything else, and someone seeking spirituality, whatever he calls it, no difference. But because the spiritual seeker does not realize this fact, that the spiritual seeking has happened, precisely that seeking money or fame has happened. And he thinks he is a spiritual seeker. And while he knows that the end of spiritual seeking is the destruction of his ego, we'll talk about that later, about the ego. Knowing that, how does he begin? The spiritual seeker who thinks he is the spiritual seeker. Immediately he says, so-and-so is seeking money, so-and-so is seeking fame. I am seeking God. Promptly he places himself way above the others. So that he begins with an awful load of a fattened ego. So my point is, this is the first thing I would suggest a spiritual seeker to understand. You didn't start it. No way are you any superior. Whatever seeking happens for two reasons. Because the body-mind organism has been designed and programmed for that kind of seeking to happen. And two, the seeking itself has happened because it is the destiny of that body-mind organism for the seeking to happen.
Could I just bring you back again, Ramesh, to this connection between science and mysticism or spirituality? For a long time, science has ruled the roost in terms of human thought, and it appears that science is coming closer to the conclusions that the mystics have had for thousands of years. Can you explain why that's happening and what is happening?
Again, seeking the answers to physical manifestation. That is what the physicist is. So that kind of thing had to happen according to the functioning of manifestation. So this kind of scientist was born, and what the scientist is seeking primarily is how the system works. The moment he comes to the question, why, he gets stumped. And the physicist now is stumped at that point. the physicist has been asking. He knows nothing can happen, no one can do anything unless there is consciousness. You see? So he says, how did consciousness get into the material body? You see? So now he's beginning to wonder whether consciousness got into or the body has appeared in consciousness. At the moment, as I understand it, that is where the physicist is. Did consciousness get into the body, or the body is something that has appeared in consciousness? The mystic knew all there is consciousness. So one of these days, one of the scientists will suddenly have that flash and realize that the mystic was right.
Will it be ever possible, according to your concept, for a scientist to reach that conclusion through science alone?
The mind, the ordinary seeker seeks with the mind. So the flash of total acceptance happens when the mind at some point reaches the end of its power. So when the flash of understanding happens, when the mind has totally surrendered, what I am seeking is beyond me, then the flash of acceptance happens in the mind. Same thing will happen in the case of a physicist.
But if that same process happens in a physicist, then
Yeah.
his whole science has to go out of the window before that takes
Oh
place.
no, Mutribo. Science is there. The human mind still is needed to function. But when the understanding has happened, the understanding has transcended the mind. Mind is there. I am not prepared to. The mind is demolished. It isn't. Without the mind, once it is, the sage would not be able to live. Therefore, my point is, a sage, since Ramana Maharshi lived for 50 years after his enlightenment, a sage has to live the rest of his span of life, 5, 10, 15, 50 years. And no sage can live a separate life as an entity, as a sage. Ramana Maharshi lived for 50 years as a separate entity. Why? Because if someone called him by name, Bhagwan, Swami, or even hey, he would respond. Therefore, even Ramana Maharshi or any sage, in order to live the rest of his life, has to have his separate entity. And that entity would be doing anything in life. He may be a cobbler, he may be a butcher, he may be a judge in a court. So to live the rest of his life in the particular role in which life has placed him, he cannot live unless there is total acceptance as a separate entity. You see? So for that separate entity to be there, the individuality has to be there. The mind has to be there. The mind has to be there. The ego has to be there as a separate entity. So the destruction of the ego, destruction of the mind, simply not acceptable.
If the understanding were to take place within the body-mind of a scientist, would that, and that scientist was engaged in asking the question why, in asking why, how did all this happen?
Yes.
Would that understanding of necessity change his inquiry, or would the inquiry go on as before?
The inquiry will stop.
But the mind of a scientist would still be there. You say.
Indeed.
Would that mind of a scientist, would it not still
You see,
continue to inquire?
Mutribo, there are a few, very small number of people who have had this. I'm not saying that they have had the knowledge, but they have accepted this theory that instead of consciousness getting into the body is in consciousness. They have accepted it. For Goswami,
Right.
and he's got a few other, but he confesses, very few people will accept it.
And why is that?
Because a resistance of the mind.
And what is the mind specifically resisting?
It's destruction. Which happens. Destruction in the sense that it transcended. In other words, the mind is necessary for the mundane things to happen in life. But truly to understand it, mind is not necessary.
You've said, I've heard you say that you've always had a feeling that your teaching, your concept, would appeal to more and more scientists, that you felt the new science would have some resonance with your teaching. Can you explain why you said that?
Yes. Merely seeing the trend of the scientists. They have arrived at this point now. This is the crucial question for the scientist. How did consciousness get into the human object? So when at some point they realize consciousness is not the primary existence, in fact, the matter is not the primary existence, it is consciousness which is the primary, then probably some shift could happen. In other words, what I am saying is, the scientist, the physicist is a seeker, make no mistake. So when that seeking towards the more of the practical, how did conscious, then at some point, no, it can't be. Consciousness can't get into this. In fact, if I were not conscious, I wouldn't see the object. So at some point, the physicist will have to stop. So when it happens, who knows? But the physicist is as much necessary as a cobbler or a butcher.
And yet in the West, I think many people in the West have suffered through the effects of science, that science has become the new religion in the West and taken out a lot of the meaning for people in their lives. Do you see that happening?
Someone in the East, he wouldn't even care about the scientist. So the scientist goes his own way, the physicist goes his own way, the ordinary person goes his own way. So my point is, the ordinary seeker, what is he truly seeking? And frankly, Mutribo, I think this has been something which has somehow not been addressed. As I said, the source, I would say, forget it. We know that source is something from which everything has emerged, and that's it. What we are now concerned with is this manifestation and its functioning, which we call life. So, as you've heard me several times, seeker says, I've been seeking for 25 years. You have known me asking, what have you been seeking? To be one with God, or self-realization, enlightenment, as if that's an end in itself. So my point is, again I repeat, Ramana Maharshi lived for 50 years after his enlightenment. So what did enlightenment do for that individual called Ramana Maharshi? What do you expect self-realization to do for you as an individual human being? I'm astonished truly how little this most important point has not been addressed. It is as if enlightenment is an end in itself. So much so that if somebody did ask, the master would probably be, you have no business sitting here. If you don't know what enlightenment, it has been not only evaded, brushed aside. And to me, that is the most important part. Therefore, I say, self-realization has happened. What do you want? What do you think it will do for you for the rest of your life? So science and manifestation, all that theory. But my point is, the average person truly has no interest in it. So to the extent there is some interest in it, and even this physicists, they have Newtonian physics, it works at a certain level. Higher than that, Newtonian physics is not concerned. So physics itself, the more you study, the more you get involved in it. So once I've got the theoretical point, this is how it has happened. The manifestation has happened like a spider with its nest. Enough. I've got what I needed. After that, I'm more concerned with leading what do I want out of, and I would say honestly, to be really happy. Then we go, what constitutes really happy? What constitutes happiness? That to me is the more important question.
Are you saying, Ramesh, that actually the question why can never be answered by a human being?
Only therefore, why did the manifestation happen? Only for the human, it is natural, it had to. It was forced to. By what? By its very nature. The potential had to activate itself sometime. Otherwise, it wouldn't be potential, it would be dead matter. And that is also, again, whatever we think of, why is a concept. Any answer to that got to be a concept. The only concept which does not need any explanation is the awareness of existence. I am, and it's impersonal. So the questions arise based entirely on the human individual intellect.
So what is the use of concepts, Ramesh? As long as people talk, they talk with concepts. What's their use?
You see, if anyone, very, very rarely, suppose he is able to accept all that truly exists in existence, in manifestation and its functioning, is the impersonal awareness of I am. And if some 1 in a billion it happens, then there will be no more concepts. But since that doesn't happen, the human intellect is still there. We have the whole yes, I accept that all there is, but. So this yes, but, but will keep on happening. And why? Because they are supposed to happen. Why? Because if they didn't happen, life as we know it wouldn't happen.
So when you sit there watching this body-mind ask conceptual questions,
yes,
what is the feeling?
Whatever is happening simply had to happen.
There's no sense of a waste of time or a waste of effort.
Wasted for whom?
Right.
Wasted for whom? About that wastage, this is a really lovely story. I hadn't heard for a long time. Swami Nityananda, when he was functioning in life, people used to bring fruit, various kinds of fruit, especially over the weekend. So at the end of the day, he would tell his attendant, take this to such and such a place. And one evening, the attendant found there was a little bit of fruit left, and he had not asked him to take that anywhere. So he reminded him once, yes, sir. So next morning, the fruit had gone bad, overripe. So the attendant complained, Swamiji, I reminded you 3 times. You didn't tell me where it should be taken, and now it's gone bad. Now, it's worm circle. So Nityananda said, it's not wasted. That fruit has gone exactly where it is supposed to go.
So actually nothing can ever be wasted.
Well, wasted. So, waste from the attendant, the human point of view.
Right.
From the worms, it is necessary thing.
Right.
So wastage can only be according to someone's point of view.
Which reminds me of the story you tell about the physicist Niels Bohr going to see Einstein. Could you talk about that?
Yes, especially since it also contains it contains the manifestation.
Right.
Yes, the story about Einstein is Niels Bohr, the quantum physics, and 3 or 4 of his colleagues, they went to Professor Einstein, who was regarded as the god of physics. So they handed him a theory, quantum mechanics, and they requested him very humbly, please sir, go through this and tell us whether it meets with your approval, or do you have any doubts about it. So Einstein went through it very carefully, took his time, and in the end told the quantum physicist, I've gone through it very thoroughly, and he used the German expression, I cannot put a needle through it. I cannot put a needle through it. Meaning, I can't see any fault with it. The theory was what they call uncertainty. At any moment something is happening. For it to happen, it is one happening out of thousands of probabilities. So the quantum mechanics say, out of thousands of probabilities, something happens at any moment. And on that he said, theory, I have no objection. But he said, I cannot accept the implication of it, which is that God plays dice with the universe. Whatever happens is uncertain. I cannot accept that God plays dice with the universe. Then Niels Bohr explained to him, God is not playing dice with the universe. We think God is playing dice with the universe because we do not have the full information which God has. For God, there is no present, past, present and future. The whole jigsaw puzzle is there. So he said, we think God is playing dice with the universe because we do not have the full information which God has.
The mechanics of the manifestation, or the way the manifestation operates, is in duality with interrelated opposites. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. The basis of manifestation, unicity, source, concept is very simple. All there is only one. So the one has become the many in manifestation. So the many is not something apart from the one. The one has become the many. So the basis of manifestation is many, beginning with two. So the source is unicity. The very basis of manifestation is duality. So, in the manifestation, at any moment, there has never been a single moment when both the interconnected opposites have not been there. Impossible. So, the basis of the manifestation is a duality, interconnected opposites, the basis of which is male and female. So whether it is a human being or any insect, there has to be a male and a female for the rest of the manifestation, life to continue. Everything is duality. So that's why I say, if there is a Hitler, there is going to be a Mother Teresa or some. So good and bad, beautiful and ugly, long and short, black and white, everything has to exist in its interconnected opposites. So the basis of manifestation is duality. What normally happens is an average person is not able to accept it. The very nature of the individual is to prefer one to the other. Every child knows it. Every child is always, you must do, you must not be that, you must do. So from the moment the child's conditioning begins, the child is taught to choose one against the other. Therefore, bondage comes with the earliest conditioning. And according to my concept, bondage is choosing between the interconnected opposites, which are the very basis of manifestation and living. And the sage, this is all that the sage has accepted. All that makes a sage, different from the ordinary person. According to just this and nothing more. As simple as that, according to my concept. The sage has been able to accept nothing can exist in this world unless the opposite is also there. So he accepts. Nothing perfect in this world. No human being can be perfect. I can never be perfect. Even if I read 50 self-improvement books, I may slightly this and that, but I can never be a perfect human being. So therefore he accepts basically that himself he has imperfections, and if he has accepted imperfections in himself, he must also accept imperfections in the others. So that is, according to me, the basis of the sage. The sage has accepted the existence of duality in everything, whereas the ordinary person has been trained and conditioned to make preferences, choose one against the other. And therefore the ordinary person is unhappy. He chooses one against the other, and throughout his life he finds sometimes he gets what he wants, sometimes more often he doesn't. Therefore, as soon as the child begins to know what is life, the child is afraid of living. The child knows, quite often I shall not get what I want. Therefore, there is suffering. So basically what I am saying is, the only difference between a sage and an ordinary person is that the sage has been able by the grace of God to accept the basis of his duality. And choosing means suffering. So the sage does not choose between the duality, he accepts duality. Whereas the ordinary person keeps on choosing, every moment choosing one or the other.
Right.
And that is why the average person is unhappy.
Ramesh, last question. You've been talking this morning about the manifestation, and that as far as you're concerned, that's all that anyone can and should be concerned with. And yet, in your books, many times, you quote Ramana Maharshi's statement.
Yeah.
There is neither creation nor destruction, neither destiny nor free will.
And there again, I don't like the word destruction. Again, someone translated it and it remained.
So how would you?
Dissolution.
There is neither creation nor dissolution.
Not dissolution.
Neither destiny nor free
Dissolution
will.
this way. A child goes to the seashore. The child is told, we'll go when the sun goes down. You have quite a lot of time. So the child takes wet sand, takes a lot of time, creating a sand castle or a man or whatever. Although the man might look like a mouse. That is, for the child, it's a lovely creation. Then at the end of the day, the parents say, Johnny or Sally, time to go home. What does the child do? Almost every case. I sometimes wonder if there's any single child who leaves it as it is to be admired by others. Almost every case, I'm told, the child destroys it. Something he has taken hours to build. When he says, he kicks it and destroys it. Destroys, what has he destroyed? His creation. But the sand is still there. So I prefer the word dissolution.
Okay. Just let me read this out.
Yes.
This is a quote you quote a lot from Ramana. There is neither creation nor dissolution, neither destiny nor free will, neither path nor achievement. This is the final truth.
Yes.
This seems to fly in the face of even considering the manifestation as being the place where our focus should be.
Yes.
Can you explain what he means by that?
Sure. If you accept truly, are able to accept Nutribo, all there is consciousness. And consciousness in manifestation means the impersonal awareness of existence. If that you are able to take truly, all there is in manifestation is the impersonal awareness of existence. No question, nothing. But you are not able to accept it. Therefore we go lower. Therefore you say, oh, that may be so, but there is a manifestation. I am still alive. I have to deal with other people. So, as far as practical living is concerned, then we say, all right, we'll talk about practical living. Yes. The moment we talk about practical living, we have not totally accepted. All there is impersonal awareness. But when you are truly fed up of everything, and then you are ready to die, ready to commit suicide, then you are not concerned with what is life. You are fed up with it.
And then all questions stop.
And then all questions stop. So those questions stop when you are at the end of your tether. Even when you are not at the end of your tether, if you could make those questions stop, you are self-realized.
That seems like a good place to stop. Thank you.
Sure.
Ramesh.
Okay, Mr.
May your form be in my heart and your name on my lips. May your form be in my heart and your name on my lips. May your form be in my heart and your name on my lips. May your form be in my heart and your name on my lips. तुझे रूपा चित्ते राहो मुके तुझे नामा. तुझे रूपा चित्ते राहो मुके तुझे नामा. देह प्रपंचाच्या दासा सुखे करो कामा. सुखे करो कामा. तुझे रूपा चित्ते